If you want to create financial freedom, you must separate your time from your money. If you do not understand this, you will never be able to create freedom. No matter how much money you make, you will never be able to be completely free. In this video, I'm going to share with you the 2 ways to actually acquire assets and create freedom in your life. If you do not know who I am, my name is Matt Petruso. I am an entrepreneur. I own an insurance agency. I've done over $10 million in sales. I also own a real estate investment company, and I created freedom in my life with businesses I knew nothing about. So I don't know where you're at, but hopefully, I think if freedom is part of your objective, I can help you out. So the point of this video today is understanding the concept of assets, acquiring assets, and how to acquire those assets to create freedom in your life. Because a lot of people think that they can just make more money, and more money will give you what you want. But if freedom is what you want, but you're trading your time for money, you will never truly be free. You will just buy more things because the things will give you a little bit of a dopamine rush and you'll feel satisfied for a moment. But the real thing that you desire is control and freedom, then more things will not give you that, right? And if you just get caught up in this rat race of even just making more money to now buy more things to ease the pain of, whatever burden that you might have going on, it just continues to be this rat race. You're keeping up with the Joneses, right? And I don't think that's what you're put here to do. I don't think that's what any of us truly desire, to have just their time spent doing things that they do not like. So I don't think there should be any badge of honor for these people that work 18-hour days or whatever, and they're out here grinding. That's fine. You can work. There's nothing wrong with that. But understand the cost of everything. Something has a cost, right? And the benefit, is it worth it, right? Is it worth it mentally? Is it worth it, in your life? If you sacrifice 50 years of your life and then you never even got to explore what you could enjoy, what you could have been privy to, right? I don't think that's a really good life. So if freedom is your main objective, then I want to share with you a story of how I kind of got here and what was one of the things that kind of switched my brain about how this works, how this game works. And it's basically the ability to acquire assets that will pay for your life. And there's 2 ways of acquiring assets, which I'm going to share with you. But the first one, I want to give you a quick story about how I found out about it and how I'm down here in beautiful West Palm Beach, Florida. I was able to go out on a boat yesterday on the spur of a moment, and then went and hung out with my buddy in the afternoon and had a great afternoon and a great day. But it was a Tuesday, right? Most people, if they're making money, they might not be able to do that. The point of your life is to have the money to do the things that you want to do, right? Not to not have the time to do them, right? And then have them when you're 65 years old. Like, that's not good. That doesn't sound right to me. So I found this concept out when I read the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And in that book, Robert Kiyosaki, if you never read it, he basically told the story of he wanted a Porsche, right? He wanted this nice car. And he said most people would go out and they would save up this money to buy this $100,000 Porsche. And in that process, then they would maybe buy the Porsche and just spend $100,000 on it, or they finance it and they're just paying down now a liability. But he said, well, the rich people don't buy the Porsche, they buy an asset to pay for the liability. It's not like you can't have the things, right? You can have the things, but find an asset that will pay for the thing, so you don't have to trade your time for the money anymore, right? So he instead of going out and buying a Porsche and paying cash for it or whatever it may be, he bought a rental property. That rental property, then he rented out, and then he financed the liability, which was the car, and the house with the tenants paid for that liability. And that allowed him to not only acquire an asset, which was the property, but also acquire the thing that he wanted, and nothing was lost, right? He got to keep the property that was now paying for the liability, and he now separated his time from his money. That asset was paying for the thing that he wanted. So you have to find out, what do you want, And then what asset do I need to build or buy to acquire that thing? And those are the two ways of acquiring assets, right? You either buy something or you build it, and you can do both. For instance, I'm down here in West Palm Beach, Florida, because I knew that concept and I wanted to separate my time from my money. So I bought a 3-unit fixer-upper rental property, and I bought it, but I also did a lot of building on it. So I learned a lot of things along the way, and in that process, I now rent that property out, and that property more than pays for my place down here in Florida. So that asset that I have still actually pays for, I believe it's an asset down here because it's appreciated in value, and I also do rent it out on Airbnb. So this property down here, I get to enjoy whenever I want, but also I know that it's an asset in certain ways. When I want to rent it out and make money off it as well, I can do that too because I have this asset. It's not just a liability. I'm able to transition it whenever I wish and make money off it as well. So separate my time from my money. So those are just like real property that you can acquire for assets, right? But what most people don't talk about is what other assets can you acquire, right? Assets are not just like real estate, but things that you put in basically a lot of work up front, or not even a lot of work, just something that you're going to continuously do every day. So you can change your mind shift to like, how am I building assets every day? And you have to think about what an asset is. What is an asset? An asset is either tangible, right? Something physical, or a system or something like that, or it's a relationship, right? So for instance, an asset could be your brand, right? The brand that you are, the character of the person that you are, the way that you live is an asset, right? If you never say what you're going to do, you never do what you say you're going to do, you never are reliable, you don't actually make people feel better when you're around them, right? You don't bring value to the table when you're around people, you're not an asset, right? You are a liability. So change yourself, number one, from being a liability to an asset, right? So if you can become an asset, then the reason why I'm telling you this is because literally yesterday I posted a story on my Instagram talking about what I was doing, having a good day. It was a beautiful morning, walking around, and my buddy, who I've created a life with, and a good relationship with, because I bring value, I bring energy, I'm an asset, right? He's like, hey, it's a beautiful morning, let's go out in the boat. I'm like, great, let's do it. And that's because I have an asset in a relationship, right? And then even in the afternoon, I had another friend reach out to me, and he's like, hey, come over to my new garage. I got some new cars, and I want you to check them out. So he's got $500,000 in cars. We go over, we hang out, and we have a great night because I built a relationship with that individual. And then when I was there, he's like, hey, have you ever been to an F1 race? Which I haven't. I've never been to F1. But he goes, oh, I'd love to take you. There's one this weekend in Miami. I'm like, all right, let's do it. And he's like, I got tickets. All right, let's go. So that was because of the genuine connection that I have with this individual, because I was an asset to his life and I brought value. I bring energy, I bring positivity, right? If you are a liability, why would people bring you around? Why would they keep you in their life if you are a liability to them? So you are the number one asset. So once you understand you're an asset, that's good. Real tangible things are assets that you can separate your time from your money. Okay, those are assets that make your life easier, right? And then, okay, what also are assets? An asset is any system, right? So like for instance, if you get from 0 to 1 in anything, the process that you got from 0 to 1 is an asset, right? Like if I can teach you how to go from not having an Airbnb to starting an Airbnb, and I teach you that, is that not valuable? If I went from making nothing and you can make $1,000 a month with something, how valuable would that be to you? How valuable would it be if I could tell you you could earn an extra $1,000 to $5,000 a month with less than, $5,000 invested? How valuable would that be? A continuous cash flow of $1,000 a month separated from your time. How valuable would that be? So if I can teach you that system of getting there, is that not valuable? And you have to think about everything that you learn in your life, right? Like, what have you learned along the path of where you are, right? If you are a person that now has skills in something, even if you're still working for somebody else, you acquired some type of skill, right? You went from not knowing anything to knowing now something, right? A lot of people think that they are not smart enough or have enough information to have assets available to somebody that would mean they're worthy, right? But that's not true. Like, I give the example that if you wanted to learn guitar, right? People think that they need to learn from John Mayer. Really? Like, well, John Mayer has been playing guitar for the last, 40 years of his life, and he plays guitar every single day. If you've never picked up a guitar and you know nothing about guitars, who do you think you're going to be better to learn from? Somebody that can't even remember where you are starting from because he's so far advanced above where you start from, or somebody that just is maybe a step or two above where you are, right? If that person now knows all the struggles and the things that you're thinking about, the complications and the confusion that you might be going through, he's able to communicate and help you better than John Mayer would, right? John Mayer went through that problem that you're facing now 40 years ago. It would be more difficult for him to teach you how to play guitar than the, just 2-3 year guitar teacher, because now that individual can still remember where you are at on the journey. So if you have something that you got from 0 to 1, all you have to do is teach somebody to get from 0 to 1, right? And wherever you're at, that becomes an asset. So if you look at your life as everything that you learned on the path of wherever you're going, you're going to learn, you're going to grow, you're going to improve. Keep track of, like, what were the downfalls that you went through? What were the pitfalls? What were the things that you wish you would have learned or wish you would have known beforehand? And if you can categorize these things as you go through the process, you are building assets every single day, but nobody knows about them because you've not systemized them. And then if you systemize them, now you have a whole buttload of assets, right? Like, I am in the process now of documenting all of my assets that I built along my way of financial freedom, so I can offer those to you and they become an asset to me. I build it once, and then if you want to buy it and learn how to make an extra $50,000 a year for less than $1,000, like, that's where the economy is going. The economy is not going to be, hey, let's everybody get the same information that the school system's teaching us and nobody's actually making any money. That's terrible. That's a terrible concept. Where the entrepreneurs are going to go is going to say, hey, I have a specialized skill that can change your life. Are you willing to pay $1,000 to change your life? Because I sure did. That's exactly how I got to where I am. I learned from other people, right? And if you are in that path of just growth, why not document it and create assets along the way? So that's the purpose of this video, is to make sure that you understand that if you can create assets along the way of your journey, you can create financial freedom in whatever you're doing. The economy of digital economics is blowing people away, and if you can catch the train, you can ride it, right? And that's where the world is going. So when you are learning, document it. Document the process. And when that documentation occurs, you now can have an asset that you can share and sell and create a digital product that can change your life, change somebody else's life. This is beyond what ever the school will ever teach you, because it's not going to create freedom in your life. But if you create freedom, you can now do whatever you wish and continue to build, continue to grow, continue to build assets along the way. So hopefully this was helpful. If you want me to go more in depth into this type of stuff, comment below, like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, MOVMATT, and I will talk to you soon. Peace.